health insurance representative discusses increasing insurance rates and the growing state of unhealthiness in America.
By year 2023, there may be as much as a 42% increase in the prevalence of chronic diseases.
Then we'll hear from a local dietitian how our daily diet directly affects our daily lives.
Our culture is food, so it's a very difficult thing to change your food habits.
But first, we talk with a former military officer about how the connection between fitness and health is being addressed and what we can do to help.
The physical capacity of our nation's youth could be potentially a national security affair in the 2030s.
Three Central Floridians discuss the necessity for healthy living. Next on Metro Center Outlook. Hello, I'm Diane Trees. An unhealthy America has far-reaching effects that include both our military and civilian populations. Joining us now is retired Army Lieutenant General Mark Herling, who now serves as an advisor for Florida Hospital. Mark, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Diane. It's great to be here with you.
You spent more than 37 years in the military. What role has physical fitness played in your life?
Well, personally, it's always been a big part of our life. I mean, as a soldier, you wake up every day, you start your day usually with physical training, and it's because there's a requirement to be fit and active. Even as you grow older in the military, which I was, you still have to be around 18 and 19-year-olds and stay with them. A few years ago, they asked me to go and get a master's degree so I could teach physical education at West Point. And I did that back in the mid-'80s. And that degree and that program helped me later on do some things for the entire Army that I think we're just seeing the effects of now.
I would think, as you said, it must be vital to be physically fit to
is.
enlist in the military. What are you seeing? How are the recruits measuring up today?
Well, there's always been a problem in our nation's history with draft age youth, as they call it, the 18 to 20-year-olds who come into the military. Pershing, during World War II, told the Senate after he returned from Europe that the population of soldiers he was getting in the 1918s were in bad shape, and he wanted Congress to do something about it, and the ROTC program was born out of that. Then again, in World War II, over half of the people that were coming into the military were not fit for service in the wars. What we've seen over the last couple of years is that continued deterioration in the civilian society. So young men and women who want to join the service sometimes don't measure up to the standards that are required of a soldier athlete, as we like to call them.
What do you see as the overall state of health for Americans right now?
Well, what we saw in a very small segment of the population, about 1% of the population serves in the military. And they're actually the very best in terms of physical shape. Even the very best were having problems with obesity, being overweight, not having the physical characteristics we would like them to do, not having the ability to run, jump, skip, hop, jump. They were also having some increasingly detrimental problems in terms of teeth decay, bone decay, and I think that's because of an increasing inactive lifestyle, bad food, bad nutrition, and not enough physical exercise.
Well, a lot of chronic illnesses come out.
A lot of chronic illnesses
well.
And complex illnesses too. It's not just one or two things happening, it's many things happening younger in life.
What do you see as the key to addressing some of these rising health issues that we're looking at in the country?
Well, I think we have to address it from the standpoint of national policies and programs, better education in our schools, maybe a return to physical education and home economics to teach nutritional health, more activity as we increasingly become more technologically savvy. We're replacing play with playstations, if you will. And I think what we have to do is just get back to activity, better nutrition, better sleep, and it goes everywhere from national policies to state programs to what goes on in the schools and especially what goes on in the homes.
You were appointed to the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's the old President's Council on Fitness, and it's now got a longer term because President Obama and Mrs. Obama wanted to address more things. I had the opportunity to meet Mrs. Obama a few years ago when we were changing how the Army did physical training and nutrition. And she liked our program so much, she said, hey, come back after you've retired and help us out. So as soon as I retired, I got a call from her chief of staff saying, we want you to help with the other 99% of the population. What we're seeing there is we're really at an inflection point in America's society. If we don't start turning things around, the trend lines in obesity, fitness, poor health, behavioral health, and all the things associated with mind, body, and spirit are somewhat deteriorating. As a nation, I think we have to turn that around. A few years ago, I said that I thought that the physical capacity of our nation's youth could be potentially a national security affair in the 2030s. And I still think it could be a concern 20 or 30 years out because we won't have the young people to be competitive and to serve in our military.
We all want to be healthy, but what's the biggest challenge do you see for changing attitudes and habits?
Well, it's all about choice. We've evolved into a society that tends to have bigger plates and less activity. So I think it's a combination of better nutrition, less food, more exercise, more sleep, more emphasis on interpersonal relationships, and it's really all about choice. It's what you choose to do and perhaps what you get other people to help you to do as well.
You mentioned children. How could our schools better promote the concept of wellness to our children?
Well, I think we started some programs in the military for our Department of Defense schools, for our young people, based on some of the things we were doing with our soldiers. And what we saw is just the education about proper nutrition, showing them what right looks like in terms of the kinds of food they picked and what kind of meals they ate, and even how they ate. You know, your mother probably told you make sure you chew your food 39 times before you swallow. Well, even that, the slowing down of how we eat, not eating in front of a television set, having some interpersonal relationships and enjoying our food as opposed to wolfing it down in all fast food manners, I mean, that helps. But you combine that with more exercise, more activity, playing, actually having a healthy attitude toward what you do physically, along with some good solid sleep and some great interpersonal relationships, and I think the health of our nation can start to change.
Does it matter what age you start to exercise? Can you reap benefits even late in life?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, we're seeing that across the board, that as you teach the younger people, perhaps they're influencing their grandparents, and we have the great unwashed middle of the parents who say, hey, I've got to get on board with it. But at any age, you can start something. You can make the choice to eat better, to start exercising, to get better sleep. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can always improve your health. And that's one of the things I'm seeing as part of the employees at Florida Hospital, because what we're trying to do is say, hey, we're a hospital that's concerned with healing, but really for the community, we also have to be concerned with health. So those are some of the programs that we're trying to bring to the Central Florida, Orlando area.
What about the future? Are you optimistic that we can change some things?
Well, I'm optimistic by nature, but I really think, like I said a minute ago, we're at an inflection point in America. If we don't start turning things around within the next 4 or 5 years, really in terms of nutrition and activity, I think the trends show us that it's not a bright future. So we really have to do some hard work and pay some attention to this health crisis that we're currently seeing in terms of wellness and healthy living.
Thank you, Mark, so much.
Thank you, Diane. It's great to be here.
When we come back, we'll focus on the impact of how an unhealthy America is affecting insurance. Dr. Ernest Cook is the Senior Medical Director, Medicare for Florida Blue, where health and wellness are a major concern. Dr. Cook, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
We read every day about the declining state of health in America. How is this affecting our insurance coverage and our premiums?
We happen to be fortunate enough to live in the greatest country on earth. However, it can't be denied that unhealthy lifestyles are very prevalent within our country, largely because of the freedoms that we enjoy. One of the things that I think we have as a challenge as a result of these unhealthy lifestyles is an almost exponential increase in the prevalence of chronic diseases. And there are some researchers who are actually predicting that by year 2023, there may be as much as a 42% increase in the prevalence of chronic diseases. That fact alone really begs attention, policy changes, in fact, a tectonic shift in how we even look at the provision of health care for our fellow citizens.
With the economic factor, as you say, when you have a chronic disease and it flows out of perhaps the epidemic we're seeing now of obesity, how does that all flow together then?
One of the things that I will tell you has always challenged me, and I'm a primary care physician, I'm a board-certified family physician by training, and one of the things that I was always challenged by, having returned to practice in the community of my birth, was the passivity of the patient population that I was privileged to care for. They walked in frequently with an expectation that I would know all of the answers. I would be basically this veritable font of information. But what they failed to recognize was that the key driver of many of their problems, in fact, the evolution of their chronic disease, was more than likely related to their behavioral activities. And so what we're trying to emphasize today to a much greater degree, and at Florida Blue, what we are trying to support our providers in recognizing is how much more we can achieve by empowering our patients, getting them to adopt, and I'm going to introduce a new concept here, an attitude of consumerism that has them actively engaged in awareness of all those things that have the potential to positively impact their health outcomes.
Are there programs then out there that educate or make people aware of the negative consequences for choosing poor health options?
At Florida Blue, it's our perception that that is, in fact, our opportunity to add value to the incredible challenge that the bedside physician has. Those models of care, delivery that have been prevalent in the past, we are now analyzing them, reevaluating them, and what we found is that there was almost endemic within the healthcare delivery system too much fragmentation, too little collaboration within the providers that many patients who are burdened with chronic disease must engage. So a person could have a diagnosis of diabetes and have to see a specialist, a primary care physician, and what we've found is that historically those relationships are not communicating and collaborating. So our role is to try and embrace, introduce, indoctrinate, and support through incentives new models of care. And we'll hopefully have an opportunity to talk about some of those. You may have heard of the Accountable Care Organization or the Patient-Centered Medical Home. Those are two very innovative models of care, incentivized, by the way, by the Affordable Care Act, that promise a much greater degree of collaboration and what they refer to as the triple aim. And we may as well talk about the triple aim now. The triple aim is basically a compendium of 3 goals: better patient outcomes, greater access to care and patient satisfaction, and importantly, because of the challenge to sustain what are now non-sustainable trends in healthcare cost, the lowering of healthcare costs. And then lastly, I don't want to fail to mention that particularly, and this is something that really resonates with me as a person who is approaching the Medicare years. We are also, again, largely supported by the Affordable Care Act. We are, within Florida Blue, constructing, let me change that. We are really reconfiguring our provider network that is devoted to the care of the elderly over 65 population, because they do truly have special needs. Right. And we refer to those as our collaborative care models. So 3 novel, innovative, almost revolutionary models of care that are designed to embrace both the commercial under 65 population, those are accountable care organizations and patient-centered medical homes, and for the senior population, the collaborative care model.
Dr. Cook, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
After the break, we'll learn how eating healthy along with a properly balanced diet can be the key to overall good health. Don Napoli is a registered dietitian with the UF Health Cancer Center at Orlando Health and knows firsthand how what we eat affects how we feel. Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
As a registered dietitian, how do you feel about the average American diet? What do you think?
It's very fair to poor even. We really need to up the bar with our diet and really look at the rest of the country and other countries and what they're doing and kind of implement some of their food practices into what we're doing every day.
So they eat better than we do?
Some countries do, yeah. Some countries eat a lot better than we do, and we need to take some steps from them and work on our diet.
Are you seeing more clientele that are obese?
Yes, absolutely. So the obesity prevalence has gone up. In 2012, it was at about 26%, and in 2013, it went up to about 27%. And here in Florida, in 2012, it was about 25%. So it's taking that steady increase, and we need to really retract that.
What about children? Are you seeing more children overweight?
Children are definitely becoming more overweight. Even in the past 10 years, it's changed a lot. So their diet has changed, their physical activity level has changed, and that impacts their health huge.
Would you say that many of our illnesses are directly related to what and how we eat?
Food has a huge impact on our risk for diseases. So we can choose when we sit down to eat if we are going to have a plate full of food that will increase the inflammation in our body, which then further increases our diseases for cardiac disease and cancers and diabetes and obesity. Or we can choose to have a plate that is full of antioxidants and phytochemicals and vitamins and minerals and fiber-rich foods that decrease the inflammation, decrease our risk for obesity and those other diseases I mentioned.
Many baby boomers, I think, were raised with less than ideal nutritional standards. How do you go about changing a whole lifetime of bad habits?
Yeah, well, it is difficult because it is a whole lifetime, and food revolves around everything. Every event we go to, there's food. When we feel happy, we eat certain foods. We feel sad, we eat certain foods. Our culture is food. So it's a very difficult thing to change your food habits. But one thing that I tell my clients is take it slowly. Change one thing at a time. So take one food group and say, okay, this week I'm going to make sure out of my grains, I'm going to have all whole grains. Then next week say, okay, I'm going to include an afternoon snack of 1 ounce of whole nuts. One change at a time, over time, will make you stick with that as a lifestyle change instead of some of these fad diets that are out there.
Well, many, I think, of the generational prepared foods, not only nutritionally not balanced, but in the preparation of foods. Do you also cover that with them?
Yes, absolutely. So we always encourage to make things at home with whole, real ingredients and reduce the amount of processed and prepared foods as much as possible. We all know a lot of those prepared foods have not only chemicals in them, but a lot of sodium in them and preservatives that are not healthy for us, and we're learning more and more about how unhealthy they are for us. So if you can, at least 80% of the time, make your foods at home with whole, real ingredients, and you know what's going into your food and your preparation, you'll be doing well.
Do you also encourage your clientele the relationship with what foods we eat and how we work out our exercise patterns and that? It all goes together. Do you try to help them to understand?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the way that, depending on what you're eating, is the way that you're going to feel and your energy level for your exercise. So if you're eating a lot of refined carbohydrates, high sugar foods, you're going to feel very sluggish. It's going to be hard to get motivated to go and work out or even go take a walk. If you're eating a lot of foods that are rich vitamins, minerals, a lot of fiber, a lot of proteins that are lean proteins, plant-based proteins, things like nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, soy foods, that will help you keep that body mass, keep that muscle mass, give you the strength to go and work out and do those physical activities.
What constitutes a healthy daily meal plan?
Well, one thing is really looking at getting a variety of foods. So when you're looking at your whole grains and you're looking at your fruits and vegetables and looking at your proteins, you're getting a variety of those foods. You're getting a variety of color as well. So not just talking about one fruit or vegetable, not just talking about one type of grain. Get the reds, the orange, the yellows, the greens, the blue, the purple, every single meal. That way you're making sure that you're getting all different vitamins and minerals, all different types of fibers every single day.
Dawn, we are surrounded by fast food. We have fast-paced lives. How are we supposed to eat right when we have this environment?
This is the #1 question I think I get every single day. And everybody always says, but my schedule doesn't permit me to eat healthy. Well, I can tell you that just before I came here, I actually stopped and got a really good healthy lunch. It had a whole grain quinoa. It had a whole soy food edamame, had nuts and seeds in it. It had spinach. So I got something that was actually quick, easy, and fairly priced and a very nutritious meal. So it is available, but if you are thinking about this and getting overwhelmed by it, one thing that I can tell you is make it a priority. Make healthy eating your #1 goal for your week, for your month, for your life. So if you make that priority and you put it into your schedule and you say, okay, on this day, I'm gonna sit down and plan out our whole meals for the week, and I'm gonna make sure that when I go to the grocery store, I'm gonna stick with that list. I'm not gonna be tempted by the potato chips that are on the counter and the Cheetos that are out there.
That's difficult to do.
Right, right. But if you're sticking with that list and you're making a priority and you're spending time actually analyzing the foods that you're buying and looking at the nutrition facts label, looking at the ingredient list, and spending time then making those foods at home, it will be much easier.
So what should we be looking for on the labels when you're in the grocery store and you're reading the labels? What do you want to see?
Right, so there's two main things, one called nutrition facts label and one called the ingredient list. Don't look at the front label of foods, that front package, because that's an advertisement. They can say cholesterol free on there, and it could be a bread or a pasta that is naturally cholesterol free. That might make you think that it's a healthy food. So skip that front area. Turn it over, look at the nutrition facts label, and the first thing you want to look on there is the serving size that's in that box, because that may alter everything. If there's 2 servings in there, but you eat the whole box, that will change things. Look at the amount of calories, look at the amount of protein and fat and vitamins and minerals that are in there as well. Next, look at the ingredients. So look at all the ingredients. They're there by weight. So the first one is going to be the most ingredient that's in there. Look for the word like whole grain. Look for the words like sugar that are added, glucose that is added, fructose. Those added sugars, you don't want that in your food. So you know that that's going to be probably an unhealthy food. If you have whole grains in there, that's a good food. You're getting a lot of fiber and nutrition in there.
Right. Now, as a registered dietitian, do you see any positive trends coming ahead of us?
I actually do. We're making very small changes, and it's taking us some time, but we are making positive changes. So things as far as things being labeled organic and things being labeled non-GMO. People are learning what that actually means and what that's going to do for them. Right now, we're kind of in the thick of things, and we're really learning all that food that we eat and what it's going to do for our body and how it's going to either help or harm our body, and especially later on. So everyone is educating themselves a lot more, and they're actually looking at those foods and digging deeper and saying, saying, okay, this is what I want to eat. And then they're taking that information and they're going to their politicians and they're going to the food companies and they're demanding that we do want this in our food or we don't want it in our food. And people are listening to us. So we're making big strides.
Excellent. Dawn, thank you so much. Good information.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for our show today. Please visit wucftv.org/metro for interactive features, special content, and much more. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Diane Trees.